final now. Mataji already told
Am
us.
I scheduled?
Yeah, it's 13th of July.
13th of July. Okay, great.
So it's going on well. People are experiencing a lot of sometimes they come and talk. So Prabhu was saying he'll talk to you today about it.
Okay. What are they experiencing? A lot of...
What's the experience? Yeah, please.
I think they have.
There are some steady people now because there are so many classes already happened. So there's a group of steady people whom we can identify who are coming regularly.
That always happens.
Yeah, I mean, initially there were like too many, then it lessened, then it increased, and then there's a final, stable number.
You got the cream. Fantastic. That's the real work, to instill faith in the hearts.
No, and in fact, they're
All
telling
callers
me,
are muted.
And make something else happen. We want to continue. So that's how they're talking.
You got a taste now.
Yeah.
Good work. Really good work.
Yeah.
So we will have
Okay. All right. Okay, watch it. They move that way or stand there. Okay, TBC.
You just done perfect color red, white, and
Avantika,
blue.
how are you?
For tomorrow, July 4th.
Good to see you.
We have technical program, one technical issue. The whoever is telling over the telephone, they can listen to whatever we are saying, but they cannot make talk. That is today. They can listen
Just today. No one's been talking.
If they're calling, we won't.
All right.
They're right now they're all muted.
All right. We can have them text in, though, right? Okay. Ramananda? Can you put this just a little higher, please? Hare Krishna. We welcome our Monterey Yatra, and also we have a special guest, my old friend Bhagavat Maharaj. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatar. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Priya Kishore Kartals, Srivas Pandit Kartals. Let's hear it for the Hare Krishna singers and the Hare Krishna dancers in the back. She just went away. Gopalanande! Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Sto Tarasata Shishimada Bhai Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Sto Tarasata Shishimada Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnavin Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Frames Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vrindiki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gogopinath Sham Kund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Sri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Sri Jagannath Puri Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So tonight the text-in number is 650-245-7018. If you would like to text in a comment or a question, that's 650-245-7018. The operators are standing by to take your calls. And also for those of you who have joined us via conference call tonight, you'll be able to hear, but you won't be able to speak up because there's a technical glitch that our technical team is working on as we speak. And tonight we're talking about forgiveness, which is highly prized and praised in the Shastra. It is one of the qualities of advanced devotees, that they're willing, able, ready to forgive. In fact, as we'll discuss tonight, there's a concept of simultaneous forgiveness. That is, as one's being offended, one's already forgiving the other person. And first of all, I'd like to back up what I just said about it being important. It means that it's in Scripture and it's praised by the great souls, by reading some excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's books and from Shastra. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first I'll start with the Bhagavad Gita. Shama, tolerance and forgiveness. should be practiced. This is from Bhagavad Gita 10.4. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. From Bhagavad Gita 16.1. But a person who is able to curb down his enemy may, under certain conditions, show forgiveness. He may excuse minor offenses. From Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto. It is said that the beauty of a tapasvi, or a saintly person, is forgiveness. There are many instances in the spiritual history of the world in which many saintly persons, although unnecessarily harassed, did not take action, although they could have done so. Parikshit Maharaj, for example, was unnecessarily cursed by a Brahmin boy, and this was very much regretted by the boy's father. But Parikshit Maharaj accepted the curse and agreed to die within a week as the Brahmin boy desired. Okay, a few other examples you can think of just instantly of great souls who are known for forgiveness. Where are the microphones? Wasted 10 seconds. Thank you.
I was thinking of Haridas Thakur and the prostitute who came to him and tried to, ruin him by,
Okay, so you're thinking of it as him forgiving the prostitute?
Yeah, because he didn't take any offense. He said, I know, and he just...
Okay, good. Sundarananda Prabhu?
Ambarish Maharaj forgiving Durvasa Muni.
Certainly, Ambarish Maharaj, yes. Srivas Prabhu?
Haridas forgiving his tormentors who were caning him in 22 marketplaces.
Yeah, famous for that. You have? Bhumi?
Queen Kunti was faced with so much calamity, and yet she simply prayed for more calamity.
Nice. Same vein.
There is one example with Draupadi forgiving Ashwatthama for killing her sons.
Yeah, at first she wanted to
First she was
take
very
a
angry.
bath standing on his head, and then later on she said, okay, I forgive him. Okay, good. Lots more. Yeah, there's a lot of examples.
There's Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ, while he was being nailed to the cross, said, oh, my Lord, please forgive them. They know not what they do. Who else? Famous for forgiveness? Okay, you got a few famous ones. Okay, so Prikishori, you have another one.
How Nityananda Prabhu forgave Jagai and Madai.
How could we miss that? That's why you're in the front row. Okay. Also from the 4th Canto, one who is both devoted and highly advanced in intelligence does not take action against the soul or the body. If there is any discrepancy, he forgives. It is said that forgiveness is a quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. That's from Prabhupada's purport. It's very encouraging, isn't it? In the sense that, and we'll talk about this more, there's a way that I hang on to resentment or anger, and it simply burns me. It doesn't burn the other person. I'm the one who has to suffer for it. So when you give yourself permission, knowing by Shastra that this is actually the way of spiritual advancement, or the symptom of spiritual advancement and the way of spiritual advancement, it's a great relief. Actually, next one from 6th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, the real feature of devotees who undergo tapasya, austerity, is forgiveness. Prabhupada's purport. Again from the 9th Canto. My dear son, we are all brahmanas and have become worshipable for the people in general because of our quality of? Correct. It is because of this quality that Lord Brahma, the supreme spiritual master of this universe, has achieved his post. Means you advance by, it's a laudable quality, it's a measurable quality, and one becomes recognized by those around him or her for the quality of forgiveness. Another from the 9th canto. The duty of a Brahmana is to culture the quality of forgiveness, which is illuminating like the sun. Culture the quality of forgiveness. So it's a culture. We'll talk more about that. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. So look no further. If you want to please Lord Hari, simply culture the quality of forgiveness. Then the 11th canto, and also I'll just add in, because of the environment, which is unavoidable anywhere in the world, I've noticed, tolerance is required. Tonight we'll have to tolerate whatever noise is there. But we'll hear it as the sound of progress, because they're painting the Lord's temple, so it's okay. 11th canto. Among the enterprising, I am fortunate. Now this is section 11th canto, the Uddhava Gita, where Krishna speaks to Uddhava about his opulences. And it's very similar to the way he speaks in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Of aquatics I am, of mountains I am, Meru, of immovable things I am, of men I am. And here Krishna says, among the enterprising I am fortune, and among the cheaters I am gambling. I am the forgiveness of the tolerant, and the good qualities of those in the mode of goodness. I am the forgiveness of the tolerant. So it's actually Krishna, that impetus to forgive others. Krishna is saying, that's me. That's my quality. You want to be close to Krishna? Practice forgiveness. Here we have from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 23, verses 18 through 19. When the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, the following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior. Forgiveness is first on the list. Concern that time should not be wasted. Detachment. Absence of false prestige. Hope. Eagerness. A taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. Attachment to descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. And affection for those places where the Lord resides. That is a temple or a holy place like Vrindavan. These are all called anubhav, subordinate signs of ecstatic emotion. They are visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love of God has begun to fructify. So, in the story of Maharaj Parikshit, we know that he was cursed by a Brahmin boy, Shringi, who really had no business cursing the king, but it was out of a sense of pride because he was part of the Brahminical order and he knew it. And because of a slight offense on the part of Maharaj Parikshit, who, when hunting in the forest, had then stopped for some water, uncharacteristically, because he had uncommon sense control normally, but by the Lord's arrangement, he became very thirsty. He went into a hermitage, and Shamika Rishi was meditating there, didn't greet him. Now that can agitate your mind if somebody doesn't greet you properly. Do you ever go into an Indian post office? In Vrindavan, I go all the time to buy stamps for my postcards, and I'm standing right there. I'm the only one in line. There's 3 guys in there doing stuff, and they don't even look up for about 10 minutes. And there's nothing you can do about it because they work for the government. And, it can really sort of spike that feeling of, wait a minute, I'm right here. Why don't you look at me? And if you're not greeted properly. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he went into that hermitage and Shamika Rishi was meditating, he took umbrage and he picked up a dead snake nearby and he hung it around his neck out of a sense of insulting him. This is the nature of anger. We do irrational things. And then, of course, the word got out that the king had stopped by. That's big news anyway. And then the sage's son, who was nearby playing with his friends and wanting to show off, uttered a curse that Parikshit Maharaj would die in 7 days, and he would die by the bite of a magical concoction. This was a snake bird that would come and bite him, and he would die. And then when the phone call came to Parikshit Maharaj, you've been cursed to die in 7 days. He accepted it. And this is an example given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he's speaking to Sanatana Goswami. By the way, the verse I just read was part of the Sanatana Shiksha. It's when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was directly teaching Sanatana Goswami, and he gave him these 9 qualities of bhava. And the first one, shama, which is forgiveness, and he gave as the example Parikshit Maharaj, who then uttered the famous statement, which is there in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, let whatever magical creation that the Brahmin boy has concocted, that snake bird, let him bite me at once. But I simply request that all of you go on speaking about the glories of the Supreme Personality of God. I just want to hear. And of course, he could have counteracted the curse, but he didn't. He accepted it as the mercy of the Lord. And this is integral in the process of forgiveness. As we'll hear going forward, that one who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any beings. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatuna vijugupsate. Vijugupsate. He doesn't hate anything or any situation, actually. And the verse in the Ishapanishad says anupashyati, which means to systematically see everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. Anu means to follow, and pashyati means to see. So you see by following the Shastra, and you see by following the advice of the Acharyas, and of the Mahajans. That's how I see. And so when you cultivate that, means you systematically do it. You may not have the vision perfectly, but you follow anyway. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatuna vijugupse. You see everything and every being in relation to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, you never hate anything or any being. This is the situation of Maharaj Parikshit. He said that this is the mercy of the Lord. He's come to get me. He's come to bring me out because I was too attached to my situation. I wouldn't have done it myself, he said. So the devotees of the Lord are able to forgive because their base of understanding the world and what happens in it is that everything's going on in perfect order by the arrangement of the Lord. Tate anukampam susamikshamano bunjane evatma kritam vipakam hridvagva purvir vidadam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya pak. This is the quintessential mentality of the advanced devotee, that he or she considers that I'm simply waiting for the causeless mercy of the Lord, and all the while suffering whatever reactions come to me, which were created by myself, my situation. Whatever it is my responsibility, not the Lord's. And this way, the person inherits the kingdom of God. He actually attracts the attention of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by this very mentality. And Parikshit Maharaj, therefore, exhibited this highest state of forgiveness, shama. When cursed to die, he didn't react. He accepted, and he took it as the Lord's mercy. Profound, eh? Okay, also from a letter, Srila Prabhupada's letter. One thing, I have received one complaint from Damodar Maharaj, that there was some quarrel with Achyutananda Maharaj. I do not know what is the fact, but we should avoid any quarrel with our god brothers and always be very nice and kind to them and cooperate with them. Because Damodar Maharaj is offended, so Achyutananda Maharaj should go to Damodar and beg his forgiveness, and bow and touch his feet. There's no harm in such behavior of begging forgiveness. So this is Vaishnava etiquette, that one should not let any disagreement fester. One should not walk away angry, but one should if one feels one committed an offense, or even if one doesn't but perceives that the other person feels that you committed an offense, one should beg forgiveness. This is a very important part of the subject and the art of forgiveness, is that one should ask for forgiveness also, just to be sure. And very specifically, when you have a quarrel with God brothers, does that ever happen? Quarrel with God brothers, God sisters? I can't imagine such a thing. But it happens, eh? I can tell. You're all smiling and laughing, so there must be something there. There's a competitive spirit in the spiritual world amongst living entities, and there's a way in which it can become overheated sometimes. And in the spirit of spiritual competition even, sometimes there's some heated exchange, but then the devotees, of course, process that by begging forgiveness from one another and moving on in their service. Next is another lecture. Srila Prabhupada says, Bhishmadev advised that for all human beings, never mind what he or they may be, 9 qualifications, such as 1, not to become angry, 2, not to tell a lie, 3, equal distribution of wealth, 4, forgiveness, 5, to beget children only in one's legitimate wife, 6, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body, 7, not to be inimical with anyone, 8, simplicity, and 9, supporting the servants or subordinates. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above-mentioned preliminary qualities. So number 4 was? Correct. So there's a little bit of evidence from Shastra, just briefly, but if we look further into it, we'll find that it's a common characteristic of advanced devotees, and throughout the Shastra it's acclaimed as a quality that one must have, or it's claimed as a superior quality of those who are advanced in knowledge and purity of heart, forgiveness. Convinced, at least with the base, that this is an important subject matter. Okay? Yes or yes? Yes. All right. So, now, as a preamble, most of what I'm saying today I've taken from His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, the inimitable Mahatma Prabhu, the great soul, one of the pioneers of the Sankirtan movement, who goes on preaching Krishna consciousness now, even after maybe 43 years of being in the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a great soul. And he does much more justice to this topic. I'm simply borrowing from his bank of knowledge that he's left behind. And he does a long seminar on forgiveness. Tonight's kind of a primer. So, first thing is that forgiveness is a choice. We have the choice to forgive or not to forgive. This is an important point. Because sometimes devotees will say that I can't forgive. But this is synonymous with saying I don't want to forgive, or I won't forgive. Can't means won't. So we can consider that when we're considering whether to forgive someone or not. Examine our own motives for forgiving or not forgiving. And therefore practice is required. And that's why we're talking about it. Prabhupada says in a lecture that he gives that I like very much, and he repeats it over and over again, that to make progress one requires 2 things: knowledge and practice. Knowledge and practice. Knowledge and practice. So these 2 things, if you have these 2 things and you put them together, you can progress in any direction that you like. So when we understand that forgiveness is the hallmark of an advanced person, an advanced soul, then we can practice it. We have to have the goal first. We have to have the knowledge of it first. What is it? And now we can practice it. We can apply. Who can apply? Any soul can apply. Any human soul can apply, because we have volition, means we have free will to do such a thing. So that's a great relief, and we can put it into practice. We, as I mentioned, should see that the world is connected. Everything in it is connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's part of Him. And also, in the past time in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when the godbrother of Srila Ishvara Puri came to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the other devotees in Puri, he was particularly interested in finding the faults of the devotees and in Mahaprabhu himself. Of course, it was very difficult for him to find any fault in Mahaprabhu because Mahaprabhu's his regulation as a sannyasi was impeccable. Pardon me, Marsh? Sorry. Okay, you can. You were going to say? Microphones are flowing everywhere.
Hey, you should finish your story. I could add some comment at the end.
Okay. So, Mahaprabhu was in Acharya Lila. He was teaching by example, and as a sannyasi, even senior sannyasis, older sannyasis were impressed by his regulation as a sannyasi and so forth. Therefore, it was hard for Ramachandra Puri to find any fault. But one day, when he came into Mahaprabhu's room, he noticed there were ants. And of course, in India, ants go here, there, and everywhere without restriction. And Ramachandra Puri said, "Aha! This means this sannyasi has been eating sweets in this place, and that's why the ants are here. And I've heard this about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, and now practically I see it's true." And then, of course, he came and he saw the quantity of food that Mahaprabhu was eating, and he criticized that, and Mahaprabhu cut his portions in half, much to the dismay of all his followers and so forth. And in the process, several devotees came to Mahaprabhu and said, "Ramachandra Puri criticizes everyone everywhere he goes, so why are you even considering it?" And Mahaprabhu said that he is simply pointing out the obvious faults in me, and why are you so upset with him? In other words, he was forgiving of Ramachandra Puri. And he showed, and in that section, it's mentioned by the author, Kaviraj Goswami, that the world, the universe works in a uniform way. Therefore, one should neither praise or glorify or criticize anyone. One should see that things are going on the way they should. But of the two regulations, one can glorify others, but one shouldn't criticize.
There's a lot of very deep, the depth of forgiveness of Parikit, of Haridas, and everything is very, very deep. And this Leela that you just talked about presents a very unique perspective on this. Because if we look in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, verses 8, 9, and 10, it describes devotees who are influenced by Tamagun, Rajagun, and Sattvagun. And so a devotee who's influenced by Tamagun, he's always envious, angry, violent, and thinks he's the best of all devotees. And so he will criticize other devotees, thinking that they're inferior and he's superior. And Prabhupada quotes Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the purport saying that because this devotee has accepted Krishna as the supreme, we should offer respect to him, but we shouldn't associate with him because he'll contaminate our consciousness. And then the Rajagun devotee has an attitude that God is his order supplier, that I worship God and he supplies me with wealth and power and fame and influence. And so he'll have a different approach towards somebody in terms of how he criticizes. And those who are in Sattva Gun, they offer the fruit of all their work to Krishna, hoping that they could become free from any entanglements. And a pure devotee surrenders to Krishna, and then whatever he does is purely engaged in Krishna's service. So he gives these 4 verses, 8, 9, 10, and 11, explain this. And if you look at it from the point of forgiveness, Mahaprabhu's trying to teach them, don't be like him. He's a devotee in the mode of ignorance. He's not saying that, but by his behavior he's demonstrating, you shouldn't be in this mood. I'm not criticizing him. I have nothing against what he's done. I accept whatever he says. So this is a very important, there's an inner meaning to his behavior and what he's doing. Parikit, 1 split second before the snake bird bit him, he left his body of his own volition. Because if he had allowed the snake bird to kill him, the entire Brahman Varna in the whole world would have been destroyed because of the offense. So to protect the Brahmanas, he left his body before the snake bird actually bit him. Haridas Thakur, his prayer is not just I forgive, I want Krishna to forgive. Because Mahaprabhu says to him later, I would have come to stop them at each marketplace, but you kept saying that I had to forgive them and not give them any reaction. So what could I do? I couldn't come. Therefore I accepted the beating on my back. And then he showed his back with the lashes. So the depth of forgiveness is very high. It's not just Mahaprabhu, it's not just Haridas is forgiving the men, he's asking Krishna to forgive them and not give them any harm. It's very, very deep. Very, very deep. And Prahlad also, he says, you please forgive my father, liberate him, don't give him any, even though he's punished me in so many ways unnecessarily, it doesn't matter, I don't see that. You please forgive him. And Krishna says, already forgiven. He's killed by my hand, he's already liberated. So these are all the depth of the mood of these persons, is that it goes beyond their personal forgiveness. It's their request that Krishna himself should forgive them. Because sometimes a devotee will accept an offense, but Krishna may not agree. He may become angry. Therefore the devotee has to beg Krishna, please, you don't be angry. You also forgive. Then Krishna will forgive. It's a very deep thing. I just wanted to bring that perspective.
Nice. Thank you for bringing it to that level. Beautiful. So now we've heard the depth of forgiveness. And how does one come to that level of forgiveness? That's an interesting point. May not be there, but we have to practice. Forgiveness may not seem logical in the material world. To forgive sometimes seems to agitate people because they would like to have retribution and so forth. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if we're forgiving somebody that we're endorsing whatever activities they have done. But it means that we're understanding the higher workings of whatever happened. And also, even on a very superficial level, if one isn't as advanced as Haridas Thakur and so forth, to be able to forgive in such a way that one actually deeply feels for the person who's beating him. He's feeling compassion or empathy that this person is hurting themselves, and he feels bad for them, even though he's the one supposedly being punished. That one can at least understand the very beginnings of forgiveness in the way that why carry that with you? Because, as Mahatma Prabhu puts it in his seminar, when you forgive somebody, you're not letting them off the hook, you're letting yourself off the hook. you're not taking it and carrying that resentment with you wherever you go. So this is mentioned also, this feeling of empathy by Krishna in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Atma pamyena sarvatra, that the advanced yogi, the most advanced yogi, and you can look this verse up, the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Atma pamyena sarvatra. The most advanced yogi is the one who empathizes with others, and knowing his own experience in the material world and how the material energy works, suffers because of other sufferings. He's paradukha dukhi. That is, he's concerned and suffers because he sees the sufferings of others, and therefore he empathizes with them. And this is a very important point or basis for forgiving others also, is this empathy. Did you find it? Okay, verse number? 632 you can turn to in your Bhagavad Gita. That is 6th chapter, 32nd verse. I'll say it, then you can repeat. Atma pamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham vadyati vadhukam sayogi paramo mataha. Atma, with his self, aupamyena, by comparison, sarvatra, everywhere, samam, equally, pashyati, sees, yaha, he who, Arjuna, O Arjuna, sukham, happiness, va, or, yadi, if, va, or, dukam, distress, saha, such, yogi, a transcendentalist, paramaha, perfect, mataha, is considered. Translation: he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Purport: one who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. I'll read that again, because it requires a little focus and attention, and there's a lot of movement going on. For good cause. One who is, no, not you, Maharaj, talking about everything. There's a lot of movement going on out there, in there, every side. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. I'm going to read it one more time. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. It reminds me, in the Krishna book, Prabhupada says specifically that when one goes to beg, you find that rich people don't give that much, don't give as easily as poor people. And he says specifically that poor people have experienced the pinprick of material existence, and therefore they have a kind of a softness of heart, because they've experienced it for themselves. Rich people, get off my porch. What are you doing? Who let you in here? I pay for this place. Who do you think you are? And so this is very important that there's an experience that an advanced yogi has. He's experienced in the world. He's seen things. In the Sri Upanishad, vidyam cha yas tad vedo bayam saha avidyaya mritum tirtva vidyaya mritum ashnute. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. There's a way in which side by side one has experience of what is nescience, what is transcendence, and the word experience. Who's got the dictionary? You can just grab the dictionary. Okay, Trishab, go ahead. He's the quick draw usually. You can get the other one out too. Should be there somewhere. Just by dint of experience, I'll read again. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. You can live off this one sentence. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. Okay, pass him the microphone. Who's got it? Experience? Thank you, Maharaj.
Experience. Noun, direct observation of or participation in events as a basis of knowledge.
One more time.
Direct observation of or participation in events as a basis of knowledge.
And where does it come from?
Middle English, from Anglo-French, from Latin experientia, act of trying, or from experient, present participle to experi, to try.
To try, so you've done it, so you've seen it for yourself, right? In the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, Krishna says to Uddhava, Shruti pratyakshamaiti yam anumanam chatushparam, that there's 4 kinds of evidence one should use to understand the nature of the world. Shruti, and that's hearing from the Shastra. Pratyaksha means you should experience it for yourself. Aitiyam means wisdom that's passed down from others, from your mom, and your grandparents and so forth, and other cultural items that come down intact, and then through anuman, through deduction, one should understand that this world is temporary and not substantial. So through experience, through trying oneself and seeing, one becomes empathetic. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritamaha, from Bhagavad Gita 1869. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities. And in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. That's an important point. So envy means the inability to tolerate the eminence of another. And in the previous sentence, talking about if you want something from this material world or from your spiritual practice and so forth, you have a vested interest, and therefore you have a tendency to become envious because you're competing with others in a certain way, and they have something that you want. You're not feeling complete and whole in through your own practice, and therefore, and it's much more difficult to forgive or to empathize with others when you're envious of them. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but he tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn every man toward Krishna consciousness. Very interesting. And in Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, he talks about, in praying to Lord Nrsingadev, he says the same thing. In fact, Prabhupada is repeating verbatim, or summarizing what Prahlad Maharaj has said, that those who take vows of silence, they practice various kinds of austerities, but they do it alone for their own benefit, may not be as perfect or come to a perfectional stage as those who mix in the world. And as Prahlad Maharaj says, I want to go to the big cities and towns. And there, he says, Shoche, I feel lamentation, I feel compassion for those people who are suffering because of their involvement in the process of the material world.
Page 241.
Page 241 in your shloka book. You can look it up. And while you're looking it up, the text-in number is 650-245-7018. The operators are standing by to take your calls. What is it?
241.
241. Page 241. We'll see for ourselves this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, 9th chapter, 44th verse. Prayena deva munayasva vimukti kama tivajanin. I was going to do a call and repeat. Let's do that. Prayena deva munayasva vimukti kama Maunam charanti vijanena parartanishta Naitan vihaya kripanan vivamuksha eko Nanyam todasya sharanam brahmoto nupashye. And the translation is, My dear Lord Nrsingadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or to the forest to meditate with vows of silence, monavrat. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter of your lotus feet. Get the Bhagavatam 7th canto 9th chapter. I want to see the other verse too. 7, 9, 45. Is it? That's not the one. There's another one. But thank you. Thank you. And it's 46. Maunavratta shutatapodhyayana sudharma vakya rahoja pasamadaya apavargyaha prayaparam purushate tvajitendriyanam varta bhavantuta navartra tudambikanam. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are 10 prescribed methods on the path of liberation: to remain silent, not to speak to anyone, to observe vows, to amass all kinds of Vedic knowledge, to undergo austerities, to study the Vedas and other Vedic literatures, to execute the duties of Varnashram Dharma, to explain the Shastras, to stay in a solitary place, to chant mantras silently, and to be absorbed in trance. These different methods for liberation are generally only a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who have not conquered their senses. Because such persons are falsely proud, these procedures may not be successful. That's parallel with what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. And I want to go back to this point. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. Therefore, he has empathy. Okay, discussion about that point. Your realization, or more praman, based on that. And where are the microphones? Srivas Pandit's ready to jump in. Go.
Prabhuji, it's in the Bhagavatam, the book which is open on the 11th canto, Prabhuji. This one. The page which is open. It's 11.737, Prabhuji.
A sober person, even when harassed by other living beings, should understand that his aggressors are acting helplessly under the control of God, and thus he should never be distracted from progress on his own path. This rule I have learned from the earth. Nice! Purport: the earth is a symbol of tolerance. By deep oil drilling, atomic explosions, pollution, and so on, the earth is constantly harassed by demoniac living entities. Sometimes lush forests are cut down by greedy men with commercial interests, and thus a wasteland is created. Sometimes the earth's surface is soaked by blood of soldiers fighting in savage warfare. Yet, despite all these disturbances, the earth continues to provide all the necessities of the living beings. In this way, one may learn the art of tolerance by studying the earth. Thank you, Srivas Pandit Prabhu. Very nice. I saw you sneak over and put that Bhagavatam there. Okay. More discussion about your own experience in the world, your own trials and tribulations, and how that makes you either more compassionate or able to empathize with others and more forgiving.
I was actually going to observe on how we never forgive, although we have that experience. And a classic example is, I hope my husband is not listening, is the case of a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law. And where, at least, from where I come, there are stories of how the daughter is tortured by the mother-in-law. But when she grows up, she has that experience of being tortured. But when she herself becomes a mother-in-law, she repeats and does the same thing. And I was just thinking that's why over here, Prabhupada is saying that a perfect yogi does that. Because, it's not possible.
So, if I understand you correctly, there's a pattern of either psychological or physical abuse that takes place, and it tends to repeat to the next generation, or the next person passes it on because they're used to that behavior, right? So one has to break the cycle of the material world and become a perfect yogi. Thank you. Nice point. Yes. Okay, Srivas Pandit Prabhu's got a question.
Prabhuji, where is the line between forgiveness and standing up, and how do we find that line, if there is one? Because if one person takes lying down, it may be that the aggressor is going to be taking you for granted. So how do we balance the forgiveness?
There are circumstances under which you have to judge, what the circumstances are. And as I said earlier, forgiveness may not mean that you don't take the judicious or proper action against a person. And that may be there also. In other words, if somebody abuses a child or something like that, it doesn't mean, I forgive them, it's okay. We'll just let them go. You may take legal action and everything that you should do, to make sure that the person doesn't do it again. But at the same time, as Jesus Christ or somewhere in the Bible it's mentioned, hate the sin, not the sinner. And you may forgive them based on the things that we've been saying before. In other words, you don't carry that revengeful feeling. You do what's judicious, and in that way you're doing it for the right cause also, for reformation. There's no burning envy and wanting to actually injure the person. Krishna doesn't have that. He's the perfect moral agent. In other words, any kind of reaction that's going on in the material world is perfectly balanced because Krishna is the perfect moral agent. The suffering and happiness that's in this world is according to our own actions in the world. We get a certain kind of action and reaction. So one who sees that understands that a person's punished because of their own actions, and that certain actions need to be taken, can also at the same time remove themselves emotionally from the procedure.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful.
I have one scenario, just a question. So in Mahabharata, Lord Krishna forgave Shishupal for 100 times, and then Lord Krishna kills Shishupal. So that is, what kind of analysis is there? Maybe Lord Krishna could have forgive him. Another thing is, sometimes you said, like right now you said, like knowledge and practice. So sometimes, like a devotee, as a new, we are trying to learn the Krishna consciousness. We have knowledge, but practice we fail and fail again. So a lot of time we do the offensive stuff. So how do we?
Actually, I can only accommodate one question at a time. My brain doesn't go that fast. The first thing you were asking about Shishupal, that Lord Krishna forgave him repeatedly, and then he killed him. So what's that all about? Well, of course, when Krishna kills somebody, he also liberates him. And Krishna was waiting for the opportunity to liberate Shishupal. So he exhibited that tolerance up to a certain point. But when Krishna kills, it's also a kind of a benefit for the person. And also, the blasphemy was coming against him. If it was coming against one of his devotees, Krishna acts very quickly. In other words, in the story of Ambarish Maharaj, when Durvasa Muni insulted and cursed Ambarish Maharaj, then immediately the Sudarshan Chakra came and started pursuing Durvasa Muni. And when Durvas went to everybody in the universe and asked for shelter, they said, can't help you. He even went to Lord Vishnu and said, help me. And he said, I can't help you. The devotees are in my heart. I am their heart, and I don't tolerate that. You'll have to go to Ambarish Maharaj. So in his own case, Krishna may tolerate some. Yes, Bhumi.
As devotees, we know we're not supposed to criticize. So, because we still haven't rooted out that propensity in our hearts, we get tricky about it. Like somebody will make a general criticism and they won't put a name to it, and then somebody will go, please don't criticize, and they'll go, I didn't say a name. What do you say about that?
Well, it's all in the same. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And as Shakespeare had the phrase, damnation by faint praise. That he's pretty good. He's really great. Yeah. Or whatever way that one perpetrates that kind of pinching that's in the heart, that you can't tolerate another. There are legitimate kinds of criticism, obviously, and they're mentioned in the Shastra. They're mentioned in the Bhagavatam, actually, in the commentaries of the Charyas who have said that if a neophyte is misrepresenting the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and it's affecting others, then one has a duty to criticize them. According to Siddhanta, one must bring out the points. Of course, the difference is that when one is motivated by that pinching in the heart, that one wants to tear others down so that one will look better oneself, then the effect is different. And those who actually don't have that propensity, when they mete out criticism, it's called mukya prasada. In other words, everything they say comes out as prasad, because actually that's their motivation. It relates to the verse by Pritha Maharaj, who says when a pure devotee speaks, his speaking dislodges the saffron mercy particles from the lotus feet of Krishna, and therefore the sound vibration is mixed with those saffron mercy particles. There's a difference in quality and effect. It's not so much, also someone pointed this out the other day, it's not so much what you say, it's the tone you say it in. For instance, if you know someone really well in the brahmachari ashram, or you're married, in any ashram, you live with somebody for a long time, you know when they might say the right thing, but the tone is wrong. I don't like your tone. Said the right thing, but the tone was off. You're like, why did you say that? What did I say? It's how you said it. I know what you meant, There's a subtlety that comes out from the heart. And Krishna says in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam that when there's envy within the heart and somebody speaks, it injures the heart of another, like with a spear. It actually pierces them, can mortally wound somebody, that kind of envious criticism that comes out. So it's subtle, but we have to examine our own motives when we're meting out criticism. And it is necessary, actually. I mean, we're preachers. And when you're preaching, you're basically saying, I know something and I'm going to present it. I may know something better than you, and I'm going to say it. I have something better than you have. Otherwise, why am I preaching to you? Why am I trying to present it in the first place? But how we do it, empathetically, and understanding the position of others, and it's one thing to tell the truth. It's another thing to have people understand the truth. And you have to... like veterinarians, they say doctors, the animals, for the most part, I mean, wild animals can do anything. Animals can do anything. But for the most part, a veterinary doctor was telling me that animals understand when you're trying to help them. They'll surrender when other times, they're on the street, they're very careful not to, but they understand the doctor is treating them in a certain way, even he's touching their underbelly and things like that. They can sense that. So there's a way that living entities are sensitive. You rolled your eyes.
I was going to say, not my dog.
You have a pet, right? Yeah, right. So I did give the disclaimer, not in all cases. Gandharvika? Here comes the mic.
So Prabhuji, we understand that forgiveness may not means more than others. It's good for us because we don't carry that burning envy within our heart. But what happens is sometimes as beginners, we don't try to forgive others from the core of our heart, because all the examples that we discussed, it really feels like somebody who is like above the pure devotees or at that level. So how do we really, where do we start from?
Well, you get a taste for it. It's an acquired taste, just like humility also. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this Trinadapi Sunichena, Toror Api Sahishnuna, Amanina Amanadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. He gives that verse right after he says, Durdaiva Midrisham Ihajani Nanara. I don't have any taste for the holy name. I'm so unfortunate. And then he gives the advice, practice humility and practice tolerance. Use these jewels that Kaviraj Goswami says, you should string these jewels on a string and then wear it around your neck as a garland. That means you have to do it. You have to practice it. Be ready to offer respects to all others. How are you going to do that? Well, you have to get ready. So you have to be ready to forgive. You have to actually practice forgiveness. And even if it begins in a superficial way, you make distance between the urge, that envious urge within the heart for retribution, and you start to actually appreciate that quality and see its value when you start off. Marge, you had your hand up? Okay. Bhumi. I've
been in a lot of discussions as of late about people will say, devotees will say, that if you forgive people, or then you become enablers. So in other words, and then some people like to bring up past things that happened 30 years ago and keep bringing them up and up and up and up, and they can't let go of them. And of course they hold everyone else hostage, so they have to listen to it. And if you say, let's not talk about this, let's be positive, they'll say you're just trying to sweep everything under the rug, and you're an ostrich who likes to keep their head in the sand, and they actually criticize people who want to not criticize as foolish.
Well, the two things are not, it's not mutually exclusive that you you forgive someone and you also make the appropriate steps to make sure that the situation is rectified. So, I mean, I've seen amongst mature devotees the ability to appreciate that somebody's done the wrong thing, also give the remedy for it, which is also good for the person, and also at the same time not hold that burning envy within their heart, or and also be able to forgive at the same time. Hate the sin, not the sinner. Maharaj, you're going to make a point?
I remember reading one time that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, if there was some dispute amongst the brahmacharis, so then he would call an Istagosti, and he'd make the two brahmacharis sit in front of him, facing each other. And then he'd say, okay, now you tell me all of the good qualities in this man. And then he'd say, okay, now you tell me all the good qualities in this devotee. And like this, he would force them to look only for the good in the other person, and not the things that they were criticizing or arguing about. And then gradually, and he would ask, and what is the Shastric evidence for this? Like this, he would really test them. And this would help them to overcome their confusion and make the forgiveness real, and make the realization of the inappropriate behavior of their arguing or having dispute become realized in a real experiential sense.
The light of consciousness brings that out. It's helpful to also have an authority figure. When you don't have an authority figure and everyone decides that they'll just freelance it, then it becomes sort of a melee and a little more difficult. But in his writings about forgiveness and preparing for the seminar, actually it was a revelation that Mahatma Prabhu talks about that he had, of actually holding a grudge against certain godbrothers who he felt had waylaid his preaching 30 years ago and so forth. And when he decided to forgive them and realized that they did the best they could, his revelation was they did the best they could with what they had under the circumstances. And he said, in his words, I actually wrote these 3 things down. He said when he forgave them, and you should read the essay, it's online if you look it up, Forgiveness and Mahatma. He said, by going through this process of forgiving, he got cleansed, uplifted, and energized. It changed his devotional life. He said because he was holding on to that grudge, he wasn't able to advance in devotional service. He wasn't actually able to execute his own devotional service with enthusiasm. It hampered his faith. But when he rectified that by forgiving them, he was able to move on with his own process. Now, in victimology, the whole science of victimology is always interesting. That when one holds on to that grudge and claims that one's the victim, then one becomes the center of attention. Because it's always about, yeah, but forget all that other stuff. I was hurt. Let's talk about me. And that drains the conversation and the ability to actually move it forward in a progressive way when someone maintains that victim mentality. At least philosophically, one should understand tate anukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. That this verse, very interesting, Mukunda Datto, the great pundit, told me, in the words vipakam, doesn't it resemble kumbhipaka? Kumbhipaka is a hell in which people are boiled in oil and other kinds of things. And so he said this word actually, in the verse it says, you're stewing in your own juices. You're cooking yourself in your own juice, basically. You're boiling yourself. What? With your own karma. And the reaction to it is being perpetuated by your hanging on to it as a victim. So forgiveness releases you from that and actually puts you, makes you open for the mercy of the Lord. Tate anukampam susumiksham. It's in the Bhagavatam. I mean, this is the quintessential mentality of a devotee. The devotee forgives. Srivas Pandit Prabhu, hot on the trail of the Praman. 256, let's have a look at it. Just by seeing the Shastra, we become purified. And if we look at page 256, and we have to appreciate, too, the work that's gone into this book. There are devotees, I mean, not only the whole Bhagavatam was translated by Prabhupada and his assistants, but then others compiled the verses that Prabhupada most frequently quoted. And here it is in this book. It's easy to take for granted, but we have at our fingertips what people 500 years ago would be a dream come true. Even 35 years ago, I mean, devotees used to keep everything on index cards. We didn't have Vedabase or, such compilations. A few people had compilations of things, but not everybody. Okay, what page? 256. We'll have a look at the verse. I'll say, please repeat. Tate anukampam susamikshamano Gunjana evatma kritam vipakam Rugvava purvir vidadan namaste Jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhag. Translation, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds. Suffering how? And offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Sadaya Bhak means he becomes an inheritor of the kingdom of God by keeping this mentality. And the introduction to the preface to the Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada said, it is the attitude of the devotee that will determine his advancement in devotional services. This is a quintessential attitude. Victimology is not, normally, we don't perceive that in advanced devotees in the Shastra. You look for victimology, and you won't find it so much in the advanced souls. As Maharaj pointed out earlier, it's not really a prominent quality of really advanced people to hold on to these things. It may be that a person, according to Siddhanta, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said he argued perpetually against Mayavadis and other kinds of people who are going against Siddhanta. He said he wanted to make sure there wasn't enough space the size of a pin for them to stand on philosophically anywhere, through his publications and the way he was preaching. But that's another thing. At the same time, he was compassionate. Trishab and then Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I want to make a couple of points about forgiveness. First is that I think an easy way to become forgiving is by being among people who are forgiving. Like the people who are forgiving and we are around them, then automatically it happens. These qualities kind of come. That is one point. And second point is that just like in knowledge, we say that the more we give out, the more we get actually. Like if you are giving out knowledge, we get more of it. Just like, so just by forgiving also, if you're forgiving a lot of people, then we also are attracting forgiveness into our own life actually. Because there's so many things we are doing, so just by forgiving, we are actually having other people also forgive us for what we've done.
Very nice points. Very nice. Maharaj?
You're talking about victimology. And so there's in the 11th canto, unfortunately I can't seem to find it, it's the song of the Avanti Brahmana. And if you know the story, the Avanti Brahmana, he comes into some very difficult situation, and he realizes that he's been a very mean and nasty person his whole life. So he gives everything up and he takes sannyas. And then people start abusing him, seriously abusing him, spitting at him and passing stool and urine in his commando and spoiling his prashad, and some people actually chained him and beat him. And so he sings a song. It's a song of the Avanti Brahmana, and in the song there's one verse where he says, "It is not these people who are causing the distress, nor is it the planets, nor is it my karma, nor is it the influence of time." He gives all these things. At the end he says, "It's only my mind." Ultimately, it's only my mind. If my mind is not contaminated, then I'll understand. If I have a purified mind, a spiritualized mind, I'll understand. This is Tatenu Kampam. It's all the mercy of Krishna.
Beautiful. Sunny?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Forgiving, the person who is forgiving is more important than the person whom forgiving too. Because is a person who is seeing everything, part and particle of Krishna, and to seeing everything, related to Krishna, then the true meaning of forgiveness is there. Otherwise, if you are separating yourself from the whole Supreme, then the forgiveness is not in that full sense. So, as self-realized, to knowing that everything is part of Krishna, then is only the forgiveness is there.
We made that point early in class by quoting the verse from the Ishapanishad, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmani Vanupashyati. That one should systematically see, or one who does systematically see, how everything is connected to Krishna. You can't hate any person or any situation. They see everything in relation to Krishna. It's a very nice point. Bears repeating. So, a few more points about forgiveness and empathy. We should, sometimes people say that there's an old saying, fight fire with fire. Now, who said that? And do we have to follow it anyway? You fight fire with water. So there's a way in which, when you actually show compassion when there's some kind of abuse or love, you respond with love. When there's hate, there's a much better chance of actually quelling the situation. I've noticed this myself. For being in public is a good place. And this kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier about experience. This is one of the reasons that going out into public to teach Krishna consciousness to others, it has a exponential effect. That is, you get immediate response from your environment. And I've had so many experiences when I reacted to people in a way that was not from complete compassion or forgiveness, and the result was inordinate. It came back to me so strongly and so clearly that it began to temper my idea of how to deal with people and so forth. And I could realize that this fighting fire with fire simply makes more fire. But when actually you do come to a spiritual platform and you react to people in a compassionate way or in a forgiving way, even if they're angry at you, it often diffuses the situation. It really does. Sometimes people actually even apologize. I've had so many times, for instance, on book distribution, when presenting to somebody and they react and they get out of here or something, I say, okay, sorry. And if it's from my heart, then they actually feel bad, and they'll come back and say, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to say that. So many times these things have happened, or enough times to impress upon my consciousness that the world doesn't work fighting fire with fire. The other way around is actually practical. And speaking of practical, seeing what's in the heart of the offender. Now, if somebody commits an offense to us in any way, shape, or form, just by the nature of the environment that we live in, we have to live with other people, there's social intercourse, and there may be some kind of an offense. Stephen Covey, in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People gives an example, which is appropriate in this context. He said that once he got on a train, he was riding on a train, and then a man with his 3 kids got on the train, and the kids were unruly. And the man was not attending to them. He was letting them run wild in the train car. And feeling offended by this, that here's the kids going crazy, here's the man not attending to them, he suddenly turned to the man and said, you might want to control these kids because they're disturbing a lot of people. And he said it with some angst in his voice. And the man suddenly, as if coming out of some kind of a trance, said, "Oh, I'm really sorry. We just came from the hospital. My wife, their mother just died." And they're reacting in this way. Just they've come unglued, basically. And I'm a little despondent right now. I haven't really taken it all in. And then suddenly, the author Stephen Covey said, "Oh, I changed my approach and my feeling towards this person suddenly." This indicates that the context in which the person is committing the offense has to be taken into account. And if one does that, I'll give you another personal realization. In driving, there's a way in which driving on the road can create this kind of reaction that seems inordinate also, called road rage. You've heard of that? All right. So my theory is that because it's an impersonal act when you're driving on the road, because you don't know who's driving the other car, you just see a big vehicle and it could kill you actually, there's a way that you react to people inordinately, even in ways you might not do otherwise. You don't do it at the office, you don't do it at home, but on the roads, like, Now, change the situation. Say somebody cuts you off. That's a classic. Somebody cuts you off on the road and you feel that anger might come up in your heart and throat and so forth and mind, and you might want to react. And then suddenly you're about to react and you look in the car and you see it's your mom. Does it change the reaction? Or if you look and you see it, it's is your best friend. Does it change the level of reaction that you're going to make, right? So my point is that because it's impersonal, because we don't actually appreciate who's driving, that person is a perfectly lovely person probably. I mean, everyone has good qualities. So because I impersonalize it, there's a way in which I just react. I don't forgive them. And similarly, another point about driving, that a realization I've had, I always turn on my turn signal before I turn. I have a thing about making sure I let people know. And I hate it when other people don't do it. It bothers me. But I was driving home many, many years ago one night, and I realized I'd forgotten to turn my turn signal, and somebody honked at me. And I thought, but I never do that. That's not me. I always put on my turn signal when I turn. And then from then on, I rationally had to forgive other people when I'm driving, because they didn't turn their turn signal. I say, okay, that's me. That's the one time they didn't turn it on. They're perfectly good people. They always do it and let people know they're going to move into the next lane and almost kill you. But, that they made a mistake. So we have to also see that the tendency, I have mistakes, other people make mistakes, see their good qualities, and personalize the experience so that you don't simply react against somebody in an impersonal way, because that's the way that we do react inordinately, is when it's impersonal. That goes to empathy. And also to the point which we've made before is don't assume. Never assume anything, because that's dangerous. There's a wide gap between what actually happened and what your assumption is. And when you jump into that gap, then you're going to injure yourself and you're going to injure others and your reputation and so forth. So don't assume. Focus on people's good qualities. Maharaj brought that up. And it's interesting that, two brahmacharis quarreling, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada puts them together and says, okay, talk about their good qualities and so forth. And then that it quells that anger that's within the heart. Everyone okay? Okay, everyone say Gauranga really loud. Raise your hand. Go. One more time, but so the paint guy comes in here to see what's going on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another thing, tips for forgiveness. Don't wait for an apology. Don't wait for an apology. First of all, the person might not know they offended you. It may be something that you took personally that they didn't mean personally. So don't wait for them to apologize to forgive them. And second thing is that you may wait for a long time. And there's no reason. You could preemptively, and I mentioned this earlier, this was Nityananda Prabhu brought this up in a class in New Vrindavan. He said, when you become practice at forgiveness, you forgive simultaneously as the offense is taking place. Devotees have a tendency to do this. You see walking through a crowd and somebody bumps the devotees like this and the other person's, like that. This is, sort of the free flow of forgiveness. That, sorry, my fault. Sorry, my fault. No, my fault. My fault. I forgive you. No, be open. Yes, Bhumi.
I have a realization, and that is that I hold on to things for years. Like somebody did something to me 30 years ago, and I remember it because I was wounded so deeply. And finally, I get to tell the person that you hurt me and you did this to me, and they don't remember it at all. And I have had this happen several times, and I guess my realization is that when people do the hurting, they don't remember the situation because they weren't hurt. And we remember it because we were hurt. But I just realize after we, you finally get it out and this happened, and they, did that happen? And you realize that they aren't even aware of it. So people, sometimes we think that they had ill motivations and they weren't thinking that at all.
Yeah, Mahatma Prabhu mentions this in his seminar. He said that be careful about going and forgiving people to their face because they might not remember they did anything and it might actually bring up something. Also, it's possible they might actually react in a way to offend you even more and deepen it. So what he recommended is write a letter of forgiveness. Forgive them. Write a letter. Don't send the letter. It's for yourself. But just write it out and say, this is why I forgive you, and so forth. And for yourself, to be able to let it go and move on so you don't carry it anymore. It's a nice point.
I mean, it never fails to kind of blow my mind that people don't remember that they did that to you, and yet you're holding on to it for years, and how small it is.
And it can also be a misperception. In the point about assumption, I've given this example before, but there's a book called The Four Agreements, and in one of them it says never assume. So the author gives the example that man goes to the mall, he sees his best friend coming out of one of the stores. Best friend makes eye contact with him and then turns around and walks away. So the first friend's thinking, what did I do? He said, okay, he hates me. And then he goes home and he's thinking, all right, well, I hate him too. And there's good reason for it too, and then he stews all week long. And then he finally runs into a friend at somebody's house. And he comes up to him and he says, all right, look it, I know you hate me. And I hate you too now. But just so I know, why is it that you hate me so much? And his best friend says, what are you talking about? We're best friends. I don't hate you. What do you mean? He said, I saw you last week at the mall. And he goes, oh, yeah, last Friday, right? And he goes, yeah, you came out of the store, you looked me in the eye, you turned around and walked away. He said, I was coming from the eye doctor. They put drops in my eyes. I couldn't see a thing. I had to call my wife. She had to come pick me up because I couldn't see. I didn't see you at the mall. And all this time, the whole week long, the person couldn't sleep. And he's thinking, he hates me. I hate him. And so forth. And this conjures, and it brings up to this good point that Maharaj said, that in this section of the Avanti Brahman, Krishna says at the beginning of the chapter of the Avanti Brahman that the mind has fearsome godlike powers over the soul. And for no other reason than the control of the mind, the living entity perpetuates his stay in the material existence and suffers in so many ways. And so never assume, don't assume that the other person actually even knew or that they actually even committed offense. It may not be that they committed offense. So many times, of course, through emails too. Because what is he talking about? It could be a language difference. So many things are lost in translation and so forth. It's always better to go find out for yourself. Come up and rectify the situation face to face. Maharaj.
What you were saying before.
Microphone's coming.
Saying before about writing the letter?
Yes.
This is actually a process in Ayurvedic psychology.
Okay. There you have it.
In Ayurvedic psychology, they tell you in order to remove negative emotions, you're supposed to meditate, observe the emotion, observe the source of where it came from, and then allow yourself to forgive yourself for embracing that emotion and then to will it away from your consciousness. And so it's a very specific process in Ayurvedic psychology to remove negative emotions, because the more you hold on to the negative emotions, the more it causes a disturbance in the subtle body, the linga sarira. And that eventually goes through the chakras into the stula sarira, the gross body. And then it causes a disturbance to the doshas, which then in turn creates ama, or toxins, and then disease. So really, disease begins in the mind. And why one person's mind dwells more due to the influence of Raja or Tamagun than another person's mind is due to karma. So the ultimate cause of disease is karma.
Well, I like that very much for two reasons. One is that it verifies this point.
Yeah.
And the other is I've always wondered when I'm coming to immigration what to put in that section that says occupation. And I think I'm going to put Ayurvedic psychologist. We have a text that's come in from the audience online. Here comes the microphone. Right up to Shraddha, there it is.
So Maharaj, there are two texts actually. One is a comment from Prabhu in Sacramento.
Prabhas, Haribo.
So it's so nice to see Guru Maharaj again. Seems like he was away for eternity.
Hare Krishna.
And the second one is from Sam Prabhu in Toronto, Canada.
Sam, up late.
He's up, yep. Hare Krishna, great topic. I think the issue of forgiveness can be linked to our own desire for respect. I think this is the most challenging part of the Trinad Api Sunichena verse, lowering our expectations of respect from the external world and basing our self-esteem and happiness on our relationship with Krishna instead, without just becoming a doormat either.
Beautiful. Wow, that was a sutra-esque summary of the whole class. Really good. You should send that in. We'll publish it. Damodar. And yes, go ahead.
Can I share my reflection?
We insist upon it.
So, all the lecture and even I was hearing on the phone, and I hear two words often. One is forgiving and forgetting. I was thinking what to give and what to get. So forgiving, when someone commits offenses towards us or towards anyone we know, then we need to forgive so that we can love and we can give the same love and care to them even in the future. So forgiving more and more love. So that is my first realization. And next thing is, it's also very important to let know the other person that you forgot what you have done, so that we forgetting more and more love from the other person too. So I repeat, forgiving more and more love, forget to get the same love and care.
Okay, bravo. Did you get it? Bhumi's looking bewildered. She likes it. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Sunny, have a point, and then we're going to move on. Go ahead.
I have something to say for that, Prabhuji's comment.
Yes.
As long as we are thinking that we are forgotten, that is still in there.
All right, that's a little complex. All right, now one thing is, Maharaj mentioned about Ayurvedic psychology and how disease is created, and in the notes I compiled, the Mayo Clinic, which is a not an Ayurvedic center of study, but they do all kinds of study about health and so forth from the Western medicine point of view, have compiled lots of evidence how forgiveness improves one's health. And that people who forgive and learn the art of forgiveness have lower levels of stress, and they also have lower blood pressure and less disease, fewer diseases. So it's measurable from the inside out. And I really like the point you made, Maharaj. It's really very practical. Okay, so we talked about empathy. We talked about seeing what's in the heart of another, realizing what the actual context is. We talked about traffic. Mahatma Prabhu has given some exercises. He said, if you feel that it's overwhelming, the prospect of forgiving someone, then try it for a few days and see if you like it. At least try it for one day. Say, okay, I'll just put it aside for one day, my resentment, and see how it feels. And he said usually when people try this, it's kind of a trick, actually, a trick of the mind. He says, oh, just try it. Like Prabhupada says in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, okay, you don't believe Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but just for the sake of reading this book, just, for now, just accept that he is. Be careful. So put it aside, your resentment, fear, whatever it is you think you'll lose by forgiving someone, and just try it and see how you feel. The more you forgive, the more grace you receive. And it's an opportunity to improve. On the way over here, Nirkula was also bringing out the point that it's also a practice to ask for forgiveness. Get in the habit of asking for forgiveness from others. Yes?
I have a question. I have heard this one before too. I forgive them, but I'm not going to forget.
Yeah, not a complete forgiveness. Not a complete forgiveness. Well, I mean, on a practical level,
things that are not forgettable, like.
Yeah, there may be a case for that in that you're fortifying yourself so it doesn't happen again. In other words, you don't put yourself in a vulnerable situation again so that, a chronic abuser will take advantage of you. But you may forgive that person. Yes, Shamalangi.
I had something, from Radhanath Swami quotes, I had noted down.
You're going to have to hold that 1 inch
I also
from your...
shared with some of the devotees here. So 2 things to forget, he says. Anything bad anyone has done to us, to the extent we are willing to forgive that, God will forgive us. Forgiveness is a great virtue. And second, any good that we have done to another. If we remember our good deeds, we become proud, and that ruins everything. We should think that we are only delivery person, delivering the good God wants us to deliver. Ultimately, it's all done by God.
Could you hear that? Janet, read it again, but really slow, and hold this.
Okay.
It's an art how to hold the microphone right below your...
2 things to forget. Anything bad anyone has done...
Even slower, like you're delivering to an audience on a stage.
2 things to forget. Anything bad anyone has done to us. To the extent we are willing to forgive that, God will forgive us. Forgiveness is a great virtue. Second, any good that we have done to another. If we remember our good deeds, we become proud, and that ruins everything. We should think that we are only delivery persons, delivering the goods God wants us to deliver. Ultimately, it's all done by God.
Thank you very much. Excellent points. And you have another text just came in? Okay.
This is Nikil Prabhu Maharaj.
Nicole, calling from the East Coast.
East Coast, yeah.
Thank you.
This is Hare Krishna Gurudev. Thank you for this topic. And I have been dealing with this for a while. And it has brought a new perspective to it. Thank you.
Haribo! Haribo! What time is it? 7:56. Oh, Krishna. Okay. So, the last point, since we're running out of time. No thought lives in your mind rent-free. I gleaned that from Mahatma's teachings on forgiveness. No thought lives in your mind rent-free. I thought about that the whole time I was over in Japan when I read that. It's like, all right, you got to pay rent or get out of here. So it goes to the whole idea that we have a choice, the way to react to all our circumstances. And it should be tied to the Shastra. It should be tied to a clear understanding that actually everything comes from Krishna and our connection with Krishna is eternal. And if we practice that, we'll actually get the realization for it. You have to start with practicing forgiveness. And sometimes we have to forgive ourselves also. It means that we may have missteps or mistakes, and not that we forgive ourselves in that we become lazy about our practice of devotional service, but that we're able to pick up and go on. We don't become morose just because we feel inadequate. And practically everybody feels inadequate at one point or another. We have to forgive that and take shelter of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who ultimately is the supreme forgiver. And that is reflected through the hearts of his great devotees who, like Lord Nityananda, who forgive those who are practically incorrigible. And this is the Sankirtan movement. In the age of Kali Yuga, people are hindered by so many bad qualities. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda's purpose was for his followers to infiltrate the world and give people an opportunity to come to Krishna consciousness. In the process of doing that, as doctors going out into the field, we must be ready to forgive. And as we move forward in the sloth of Kali Yuga, we must be ready to forgive ourselves and keep doing our service under all circumstances. Gaur Premanande Haribo! Thank again Bhagavat Maharaj, His Holiness, for coming and visiting us. And we thank you for his valuable comments. We spent some happy days together, and he hosted me one time in Bhubaneswar before the temple was built there. We lived together in a little grass hut, and he took me around Jagannath Puri and introduced me to a lot of the locals there, because he was there, one of the pioneers of that project, along with Gaur Govinda Maharaj in Bhubaneswar. So it's so good to see you again. And again for our Monterey Yatra, who's the president of the Monterey Yatra, Bhumi Devi Dasi, coming all the way up. And now let's put all the books and the asanas away, because the artik is upon us in 10 seconds. With efficiency, but with great respect for the Shastra. Thank you very much. Gaur Premanande Haribo!
Blood sugars are plummeting. Have something to eat.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyareshatharine Namaste Saraswati Deve Prabhupada Prabhupada Hare Prabhupada. Try it again. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyareshatharine Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jayo Jaya Gaura Chande Raroti Koshobha Janavitatavan Jagamanaluba Jagajanamanaluba Jagajanamanaluba Gaurangera Rotiko Shobha Jagajanamanaluba Gaurangera Rotik Shobha Jagajanamanaluba Jagajanamanaluba Oh Jagajanamanaluba Haribo 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 Sai Gaur Haribo Nitai Gaur Haribo 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo Jake Nitai Chan Bame Gadadhara Kate Advaita Shrini Bhaschatradara Bose Ache Gaurachan Ratna Singhasane. Arati kore na Brahma Adi Devagane. Nara Hari Hari Kore Chamara Dhulaya. Sanjaya Mukunda Basu Koshari Gaya. Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Baje Karatala. Madhura Mridanga Baje Paramarasala. Madhur 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 Bhaje Madhur 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 Bhaje. Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje. Shankha Baje Kanta Baje Madhur 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 Baje. Hey, Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje. Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Ujala. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Ujala. Dala Deshe Vanamala Kore Jhalamala. Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gadagada Thakur Bhakati Vinoda Dekhe Gaurara Sampada Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah Hare Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raguna Echai Gosai Kori Charanamanda Jaha Hoite Vignanash Abhishta Puran Echai Gosai Jar Mritardas Tansabara Pararinu Mora Panchagra Tandera Charanna Seve Bhakta Samiba Janame Janame Hoye Avilas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Kolabar Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash Shri Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Koila Prakash Bolo Anande Bolo Hare Bhaja Vrindavan Bolo Anande Bolo Hare Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhuniyaman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Bhajana Kuriyas Hari Ram Sankirtan Kohe Narottam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaur, Hari Bol. Jai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaur, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Premanande. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privratikacharya Stotar Shishimad Bhai Charanada Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privratikacharya Stotar Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhakta Vriniki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Sri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Sri Jagannath Puri Ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Sri Yuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the civil devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Where's my mom?
you to sing.
Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadayine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Tilatanka nakhalaye. Nakhalaye. Ito Narsimha parato Narsimha. Ito Narsimha parato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. Mahi Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Mahi Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Avakara Kamalavare Natham Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bhingam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Navare Natham Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bhingam Jagadita Hari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Gaur Premanande Hari Bol
Welcome everyone to the Wednesday night Gita class here at ISV. We thank everyone who joined online tonight also across the country and around the world. And we're getting ready, counting down the moments until the grand opening of ISV. It seems as though these openings and beginnings come in waves here, that there are so many chances for us to celebrate the progress that we've made by Krishna's arrangement, Srila Prabhupada's special mercy. And this weekend will definitely be a significant time for that. It's an opportunity for us to invite people from all over the world to come and see the ISV family and to look at the new temple that we have for Shishuada Madan Mohan. So some of the organizers are here tonight. Do you want to say a few words about what's coming up, what to expect, and what our mood should be? Everyone's looking around at everyone else. Nirkula, do you want to say some words? You don't like to be put on the spot, I know that. What's it going to be like?
We're hearing from devotees down in Southern California and Sacramento. A lot of devotees are coming to help celebrate. They're all very happy for us and want to participate in the festival we'll be putting on this weekend. There'll be lots of service, and I've gotten emails from many of you offering to be a part of this, and we will definitely be looking forward to putting you to work, putting you to service. And we have a lot of nice things planned. The temple room will be decorated. We have a lot of senior devotees coming. And the parking lot will not be used for cars. It'll be a festival area. And we have lots of things for the children. We'll have a little Rath Yatra. And we'll be here on Friday getting the temple ready, so anybody who has the day off and would like to come and participate, so it's not just a 2-day festival, it'll be a 3-day festival for you. We more than welcome you. So, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. The grand opening team has been working round the clock for more than a month now, maybe 2 months, getting ready for this event. And I just saw today, Hansapriya showed me a little button. Do you have one of those buttons, anybody? She only has one, huh? Wow. Well, the button said, volunteer, how can I help you, something like that. Always better service. So the mood this weekend should be that we want to welcome everybody and give them an unforgettable experience, an unforgettable good experience. And that especially is, yes? Go ahead.
It's also the offering to Srila Bhakti Vinod for the MSF on Sunday as part of the festival and the Sunday feast. Devotees have been working very
Glad you brought that up. To be as accommodating and noticing that as possible, and to notice that guests are coming, to make sure that they feel at home and welcome. It's we want this to be the friendliest place anywhere that people have ever gone. This is our intention. So this makes real opulence in a place. It doesn't matter what the other settings are, whatever shortcomings we may have. Otherwise will be made up for by us being very friendly and accommodating and honoring those guests who have come from a long distance away to do service or just to visit. So this is a great opportunity to extend ourselves from the heart to welcome everyone who comes here with a smile and to make sure that everyone has a place to sit and everyone's being taken care of. That should be the main focus and the main mood that's coming up over the weekend. And as Nirkula mentioned, also the devotees have been working very hard. Although I must say they probably don't feel that they're working that hard because they're floating in ecstasy.
SKP Prabhu is overseas right now, but Malini has stepped it up yet another notch as the co-Sankirtan leader. And all the devotees here have had amazing Sankirtan experiences over the last couple of weeks. I've been reading about it on the book distribution conference, and we're zeroing in on our goals. We had a goal to distribute 75 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams. Is that correct? And also 2,500 Bhagavad Gitas. And was there a Lakshmi goal also? No Lakshmi goal, so there's no maximum. So that part is still wide open. And we also had a goal to distribute to sell at least one of the Prabhupada library sets. Now, if you'll be so kind, Srivas Pandit Prabhu on the showroom floor, if you would move the Sri Gaur Artik away. And does that turn? It turns okay? Okay, this is what we're distributing, actually. That includes the bookshelf itself. It comes with the whole package. All the books that you see on the shelf are a complete set of Prabhupada's books. At the bottom, you see the Prabhupada Lilamrita. You also comes with this all the recorded lectures of Srila Prabhupada, a pair of kartals that are there. You also get a Madanga. You also get a Kurma cookbook. You get now if you touch anything on there, you have to buy it, so tell your mom. Is your mom here? She has her credit card, go ask her. Okay, so on top you see the Sri Panchatattva, and there's a picture of Prabhupada and the Sad Goswami. Okay. So this is what we're calling now the Prabhupada Library. This comes, what else do you have there, Malini? Tilak. Practically everything you need to transform a home into a temple. And normally these are $2,500 for the set, but that's a meditation kit there. The list keeps growing longer. You also get Bhakti Notes will come to you. You'll be signed up for life for Bhakti Notes. It will come to you 2 times a week. And there are other premiums. A BTG subscription for 1 year that comes with the package, right? Normally $2,500. We must be crazy here. I don't know if we're crazy or what, but it's going for $1,008 for the full set. Huh? Somebody raised their hand. What? Mayapur? What? And he would like to know if that comes along with a free installation. And Malini is emphatically shaking her head, yes. Haribol! Now, if Mayapur Vihari is inquiring about it, something good is about to happen. So the bookshelf also comes with it. That's a premium bookshelf from IKEA, made in Sweden, I believe. We have the bookshelves in stock; they're ready to go. So all this comes along with a home. Pardon me? This comes along with a home installation. It means the devotees will come to your home and they do a special puja to install the books. Now, we know for a fact that once a set of books goes in someone's house, their material life is ruined. And what to speak of when this comes in, when this wheels into the home, their whole life is changed. They have everything they need to carry on the Krishna consciousness movement. Their house becomes a temple. So this is the new standard. We're going to be distributing these, and we have a goal we just put this together, so we're going to distribute at least one before Bhaktivinoda Thakur Disappearance Day, which is coming up on Sunday. Correct? Okay. Now we see a hand go up, and it's Shraddha Devi Dasi. Give her the microphone and let's see what she has to say.
I was just going to say that you need Srivas Prabhu to understand all those books, but he doesn't come with that kit.
Okay, we could throw in Srivas Pandit. There you go. Now you got a deal. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I think you should throw in Srivas Pandit with every set. It does come with a Bhakti Shastri. It will cost you a little extra. Yes, Shraddha.
Yeah, I'd like to sponsor one for my friend. He's moving into his new home.
One Srila Prabhupada Library set. Haribol! Krishna, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to count down now. What happened? There's somebody behind me raised their hand? Yes. Okay, Damodar.
I moved to a new office, so I'll have a set there in that office so people can read it.
So what does that mean? What are you saying actually? He's translating. Maharaj is translating for you. What is it? You're taking a set. Now that's a good idea. You can sponsor these for other people. Just, it's like you pull up their house with all the devotees in a kirtan and wheel it in, and they'll never be the same. It's good for offices too. If the CEO of your corporation doesn't have one of these in his office, at Oracle perhaps, Larry Ellison, he should have this. Only we'll give him an extra special bookcase with that. Maybe we'll have the mahogany version or something like that for the billionaires. So if you know anyone else who would like a Prabhupada library set, it is a fantastic gift. And it will change their life forever. It gives people everything they need to carry on their Krishna consciousness in their home. It includes the altar. The bookcase is the altar with Panchatattva on top. You won't lack for anything. Okay. So
I just wanted to say that I wanted to thank all of you for a wonderful spiritual experience tonight. You have a beautiful spiritual community and family here. And it's very, very wonderful. And I wish you great good fortune this weekend. And I'm going to try and show up on Sunday morning for the festival. Is that all right?
Absolutely. We insist upon it.
So thank you very much. I need to go because I've been out most of the day and I'm getting tired.
Let's thank Bhagavat Maharaj one more time for coming here Hare Krishna. Jai Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Tonight, the cooks who were sequestered and names kept secret until this very time, Bhakta Vatsal Prabhu and Parthasarthi Das were the cooks tonight. Hare Krishna. Anything to say about the serving or the cleanup crew? Hari Sankirtan Prabhu will take the microphone.
So for prasadam serving, we are doing it outside because here they are doing painting work. So please come out from here and you can come back from this other door. And also we would need some people to stay back after the program for cleaning. We don't at least 3 or 4 volunteers to stay back.
How many?
4 people.
4 people only he's giving opportunity to help clean up tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And another thing is like the kids Mridanga classes are going to start and we have a new batch of Mridangas that are available. So if anybody wants to buy, they can contact me. I have around 11 now and I can get more next week. So you can have Mridangas.
Okay, so Mridangas for everybody? Everyone take a Mridanga, take it home? How much are they?
At a discounted price of $120 something.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay. Mridangas for $120. You can't get Mridangas anywhere for $120 except here at ISV. Genuine clay Mridanga from Mayapur, and as Hari Sankirtan Prabhu has said, the classes will be starting soon. We're setting up a special classroom in the back. Right? Okay. Any other announcements? Hansapriya.
We just want to let devotees know that seasonal parking is no more available for us. So we do have the school parking that devotees should go to the schools and park and walk over. It's not very far. It's very close by. You go left on Escuela, and just on the right side is a parking lot. And Castro, okay. And there is around 50 to 60 parkings there. Only on office hours you can't park, but in the evenings and weekends is available. So please, all the devotees are requested to park there. And on the weekends you can park across the Sizzler. There is a company, high-tech company, that has 100 parking lots. We have talked to the owner, and we have also the agreement with the person. So you can park there on the weeknights and weekends, but not during the week hours. So if you come on Saturday for 4 o'clock, we prefer that you park at the school, not at the building. So just want to let you know that if we continue using the Sizzler parking lot, we will have to close this door. We won't be able to let devotees come in and out because the person is really upset with us, and we don't want to completely have him lock us out so we can't even walk through. So just be careful about that. Thank you very much. And we will, Rajesh Prabhu is our in charge, and he's going to be sending out the instruction tomorrow for the weekend parkings. So please pay close attention to that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other last announcements? Okay. Sharirad Vijaja Jodendriya Tahika Jibe Bilivishya Shagare Karma Jeti Vayati Lovamai Sudurmati Take Jeta Katina Shangshare Krishna Baradoyamoy Koribare Jihajai Shaprasana Dilubai Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagal Preme Dako Chaitanya Nitai Ma Prashare Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnave Swapna Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Navajayate Prashare Sarvadhutana Anirasyo Pajayate Prasanna Chetaso Yashu Gulipaya Vatishtate Bhagavat Srimad Prasada Ki Jai Go Premanande. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna. Also like to mention that these all the artwork that you see in here is original art. All of these, every one of these paintings was done at the time of Srila Prabhupada. He saw every one of these paintings. He oversaw the painting of these paintings in his time. And these were archived down at the BBT. And due to the hard work of Jagarini, Devi Dasi, and Driti, who went down there personally to pick out some of these paintings, they're leased to us for an indefinite period of time, as long as we take care of them. Prabhupada wanted these artworks to be inside the ISKCON temples. So we're lucky to have some of the most favorite pieces of art of all time, especially this one and that one. I've had just wonderful to have them here. These are the most wonderful deities of Krishna that come, and they're a piece of real history in ISKCON. So you can appreciate the hard work that Jagarini and her team have been doing to beautify the temple, and every time we come in here it looks nicer and nicer. These curtains are obviously custom made, and it'll just keep getting nicer and better. So thank you to Jagarini and the temple complete team. Hare Krishna. Please come take Srivas Pandit Prabhu's advice.
Since these paintings are very valuable and extremely rare, so we request the parents to make sure that the children do not in any way, touch or write or bang or throw whatever objects they throw at for the paintings, because it's our responsibility to take care of them. Thank you.
Also, another point is that you have to be careful with water. When you're taking around the water prasadam, don't fling it here and there. In fact, we might look into getting an atomizer so just a nice mist comes out, because when the water gets on the canvas, it's also really not good for the painting. So these are deities. We have to take really good care of them. Thank you. Good point. Please come take prasadam. Hare Krishna. Pancha kalpatarubhascha kripasinabheva cha